Hello and welcome, you amazing person. My name is Rob, I'm the Manic Gaming Guy. And we're back again. It's been a little while since I've made a video because I've upgraded my PC finally. And we got our new graphics card, so we got more prettier pictures to look at. You're welcome. Do subscribe for more better content as it's now improved. Hopefully, anyway. Today's video is going to be quite a little simple one as I'm still trying to get all the settings set up on my recording stuff and that. So we're just going to be taking a look at my little drift build as I've made a drift map recently. Description will present you a link where you can go download and have a go at this drift map yourself. But that isn't the main focus of this video. The main focus of this video today is my beginner's drift build. I've tuned this car quite a lot to make it more comfortable for me to be able to drift, being a beginner that I am. It's a second gear beast. You can drift in third gear, but it takes a lot more skill and a bit more speed. If you're going too slow, it bottoms out a little bit. So you can change the gear ratio, which we'll talk about later, to improve things. So anyway, without further ado, let's push Alt and U and bring up the rest of the menu buttons. And let's bring up vehicle configuration, because this is where you're going to be doing all of your tuning. Now my car is the, if I bring it up for you, the Ibishu BX series, which is the new car that was just brought into beamng. So this is quite a nice recent video. I think what I originally done is I may have started with the drift car, and now my car's nothing like this car now, because this one has a V8 in. My car has a 2.4 inline 6 turbocharged. Yeah, this one's quite a handful, and it wasn't really to my tastefulness of driving. I want a mix between this car and a mix between this car, which is really grippy and handly. So yeah, so I chose one of these. Whatever model you want, it's not really too important. They all handle about the same after you've done all your tuning and stuff. Let's get out of this window, please. Right, vehicle configurations. Important parts, going to be some upgrades. I say just upgrade the engine to the max. Put everything on there. And if your car keeps blowing up, it's because you put the wrong block on. So we go to engine, which is down here. You can also use a search if you're trying to find something in particular. I tend to just go through and make the car pretty and adjust it as it go along. So this particular one has got the race ECU and the ultra heavy duty long block. Now you need this one to stop the engine blowing up. If you put the stage 2 performance engine on, it will still probably blow up if you're over revving it lots. It doesn't like being revved lots, this engine, unless you've got the ultra heavy duty long block on. Obviously everything else is just cranked up to the max, like as you expect, just to make sure the car doesn't collapse on you. Interior, completely up to you. Mine's a right-hand drive, as was a UK themed map, and I like to drive in the UK, not America, because I never driven there. Quarter pounds don't really matter, but this one has got the wide arch body kit on there for you. Front frame doesn't really matter, you go crazy. Suspension wise, now I've got the Drift Gear Pro Drift front setup. Now, depending on the suspension you choose, will change the tuning that you are allocated in the tuning window, so that is important. But you probably can switch up the suspension and... Oh, I thought it was a race tuned one. I'm sure there was a race suspension. Maybe not. But anyway, yeah, I've got the Pro Drift coilovers on. That's good because you need that for all your adjustments. If you don't put that on, you won't get adjustments, so do put something like that on. Like I say, if anything's missing when you're tuning, it's because you probably chose a slightly different part. It might be a case of going back and forth and find out the right bit for you. But I've gone to the 5 log. Now the 5 log is basically the bolts in the wheel. Rather than being 4, we've got 5 to get more wheel options. There are some drift tyres that are really slippery and react a bit differently, but I have gone for sports tyres. So let's have a quick look at the wheels that we've put on this bad boy. The wheel design is not too important, but the size is. I like the small wheels on my Japanese cars, so I've gone for 15 by 8. You can probably go to 16 by something or other, but obviously the bigger the wheel you get, the more grip you get, so keep that in mind. Same for the tyres. I've kept my tyres to standard, so they've got barely any grip, so it's easier to spin. If you're having trouble getting these engines to spin, it's probably because you've got too much grip in your wheels. Some alignment changes and rubbish wheels will help that. The steering, I've got the Pro Drift steering set up and no power steering. But I did make sure I put power ABS on, by the way, because I didn't feel like locking up every time I entered the corner. Same for the rear setup. Basically, same sort of wheels. We've gone for standard wheels, and I think these might be a little bit bigger. No, same size wheels. Yeah, kept it all matching, looking nice. So that's about it for the parts. I had to really run through that because most of it's not that important. You know, make sure you put your strut bars and stuff on for anti-rollness, roll cage, all that sort of stuff is optional. Now let's go to the tuning, shall we? On the tuning side of things, here we are. Brake bias. So, brake bias is front and back. Basically, percentage of brake torque to front wheels. So if you have it cranked up, you're going to have a lot of locking up in the front and not as much to the back. But if you put it more to like, I've got 62%, if you poking it into a corner and you slam your brakes on, you'll get a bit of a good even slide, rather than the car just sliding off the corner. It will slide into the corner and create a back end. Sort of same thing as if you're yanking a handbrake. Oh, I forgot to say, I am running a Thrustmaster T300 RS with pedals and a clutch, just so you all know this. Well, what sort of setup I'm using. I do have a handbrake, very recent. I haven't fine-tuned it yet, so I'm not using a handbrake in this tune setup. I'm literally just using throttle control. Now the chassis force feedback multiplier is set up to this car, and I'm pretty sure that is maybe to do with your steering wheels. If you haven't got a steering wheel, it's probably nothing to do with that. So obviously this is the one you change if the wheel feels too strong and you're having to fight it. You can adjust it. Alright, differential lockups. Okay, this is quite important. You can obviously have a welded diff, but that's not my style. I'm more of a street drifter style, like Toge is my fancy, even though this one's a bit more of a drift car rather than a street Toge car. But the power lock rate, anywhere from 70 to 100 is probably a good idea. 100 obviously is like your welded diff. It won't want to be any bias whatsoever. It will just say, I want to lock up, power to all wheels, keep going. So yeah, play around with this. If you're having struggles getting it to drift, I would crank this up. If you're having struggles with it over spinning, you can crank this number down. Cast lock rate, additional locking torque, additional to the engine braking. Now, is that like, I'm pretty sure that's like when you downshift and your back wheels can lock up. So obviously that's to do with that. I just keep it at 30%. It's nothing really that important that I tend to muck around with, but keep an eye on the comments, because I'll probably hopefully have some more intelligent people than me, because I am a beginner drift setter, but I do tune and drift a lot of cars, like in automation and beamng and stuff. So I do know bits and bobs, but there are people out there, I guarantee you would know a hell of a lot more than me. But this car works, so you know you can copy it and you can go on the road and start drifting. Preloaded torque. So initial torque loading, initial locking torque between the left and right wheels. So when you're in a corner, normally your one wheel will get grip compared to the other wheel, and that's like the back and forth torqueness. So it will help the other one get power rather than not get power, because that's the point of the LSD. If you have an open differential, basically when you hit a corner and one wheel starts spinning, it will stop sending power to that wheel, and it will reduce it to the point where it's got grip, and then you end up losing horsepower because it's not going to give the wheels all the power. It's a long video. It's like a 10-15 minute video to fully understand it, but basically, like if you've got open differentials, you're safer in corners because your wheels are likely just to gain grip again. But if you put all the torque on and all that sort of stuff and your power lock ratio, your wheels will not want to give in. They will just want to keep pushing that power. They won't reduce the power. It will just keep pushing the power down and keep spinning for you. There you go. There's some educational stuff for you. But yeah, there's some really good videos on it. Some really old school ones as well that are really well done because they're so basic and easy to understand. Let's go sip my cup of tea now, please. Don't mind me. Ting ting! It's Biffa. If you guys love City Skylines, please go over to Biffa and subscribe to his channel. It's called Biffa Indie Games. He's close to 1 million. He should have been a good 5 years ago. So let's go over there and hit the subscribe button, guys, because he's amazing. If you're a Biffa fan, put it in the comment below. So let's get Biffa to 1 million. Right, turbo pressure is 22 psi. Now, I can probably crank this up and it will drift better in 3rd gear. But again, if the car's trying to spin too much when the boost kicks in, it's just going to spin you out. It's going to be hard to control. So you want to find that nice balance so you can use your throttle control. So don't go crazy in the boost, just enough to get the wheels spinning and you can control your balance. Right, suspension. I've got a very sporty front end suspension. It's firm and tucky-in-y. So just copy it. I'm not going to explain all this. Hopefully you guys know some of it. I'll give you a quick demo. Right, dampening rate is the wheel bouncing up and down. The rebound is the bouncing after the bouncing up and down. So when you hit a bump, the suspension will go up and then come back down. The reason we have dampeners in is to stop, because we have a spring basically, and that will stop the car feeling the bump. But then, if it was just a spring, it would just keep bouncing up and down. Yeah, that's where it's shock absorbers. That's a dampener. And the dampening rate is to, like, the front and back as well is quite important. You want your dampening rate to be slightly off-skew to each other so that it... Because you hit a bump normally on the front wheels and then the back. And you want your car to stay level, so you don't want the dampening rate exactly the same because they won't match up evenly afterwards. Go to automation videos that I do, you'll understand a lot more. Yeah, so the rebound's the bounce after the bounce. And the spring rate is like the stiffness of the spring, you know. So yeah, you want to mess around with all this. Also, tyre pressure is going to come into play as well when you're tuning this sort of stuff. Keep that in mind. Now, the rear one is quite stiff. That's so when I put my foot down, it's more likely to give traction. If it's too soft, it will just bog down. And yeah, just get traction, and that's not what you want. You also want a suspension tuning. If you could pick the other one, you might get one that says anti-squat. That's basically going to help your car lose traction or gain traction when you put your foot down. Right, so front, oh, it's down here in rear alignment, in fact. Anyway, wheel alignment, front wheel alignment. Let me have a little break again. I need a cup of tea sip. Right, front wheel alignment, Ackerman adjustment. Right, Ackerman adjustment is the front wheels, obviously we're talking about here, is the angle correlation to each other whilst in a corner. Now you'd think the wheels would stick near enough parallel when they turn into a corner, but you've got to understand that the inside wheel is taking a smaller circle down the outside wheel, so they don't necessarily want to be pointing. Like if you've got perfect good handling, you don't want them to be pointing exactly the same, because one won't be taking the corner properly. So you have Ackerman adjustment, so when you're taking a corner, one wheel will actually turn more than the other because it's got a tighter circle to take. Now I'm not sure what that means in drifting, but I'm guessing you can probably make your car drift a bit differently changing the Ackerman. But this is the setting I've got. It seems to work for me. Camber adjustment. Now we all know camber because we all seen the stupidly starts cars. The camber adjustment is good for when you're in the corner. It will give you a bit more grip. Now, drift Formula 1, they use quite aggressive camber because they've normally got quite aggressive angles. But like I said, I'm trying to get more of a street tune drift. So this is my camber. I've got it set to -31. You might want to change that. It's up to you, but I find I've got perfectly good control in corners. Perfectly good grip on the front end with these settings. So I'll probably just, if I was you, just copy and paste, give it a go. I'll give you the extra details just in case you feel you might need that slight different tune. Caster adjustment. Now the caster is, imagine your suspension, it normally goes up and down, straight up, like this. Your caster adjustment is either going to point the suspension forward or back. Obviously we're talking about the top of it, not the bottom of it. Now what that's going to do is, if you normally tilt the caster back, it makes your car more responsive when you turn into a corner. It has, like imagine your linear angles when you're setting like your settings for your steering wheels and that. Changing your caster will change the linear curve. It will make it more responsive straight away and then not so much in the end sort of style. And putting front camber on, I imagine that's for like lorries or some sort of trucks or something, because I don't know why you'd want to lean the wheels forward. That will just give you really unresponsive sloppy steering, I guess. Maybe that's what you need to do with drift cars, is lean it forward. But again, I like my cars to be quite darty and nip into corners still. Steering trim, don't really need to touch that. I just hit my microphone, sorry. Right, toe adjustment. Now, toe adjustment is if the wheels are pointing out the car or pointing in the cars. And you do have one on the front, you do have one on the back. The one on the front, you want to go very finely adjustment. Normally, your standard car, like front-wheel drive cars, have a bit of toe on, because when you accelerate, your car actually lifts up on the suspension because of the inertia that you're creating. And the cars are actually wheels normally want to start pulling out. So I think you normally put in toe on your front suspension of the car, or even out toe, I can't remember which way it is. But when you start accelerating, the car wheels actually line up when you're going along. So that's why you tend to have toe set up in your front wheel drive cars. But when you're racing around, you can use toe to your advantage. Hence why we put quite a lot of toe on the rear. Because what you're doing is you're making the wheels point inwards to the car. So when you're drifting out, the rear just wants to gain grip. It just say, I want to come back in. Yeah, I need to come back in. You can do the same with the toe by creating understeer and making the car say, look, I really want to bring this back in. I'm just going to come off this corner. And then you use that because then you can bounce your throttle against this toe alignment, and that will give you your balance point of where you can sit. So keep that in mind for your angle as well in your drifts. Right, front wheel and back wheel tyre pressure. This is very important. If you're not touching tyre pressures, do. Like the drift car originally set to something like 8 PSI, I think, their drift car, which is crazy amount of grip and flat tireness. Mine's set to 25 on the rear and 29.5 on the front. I'll probably go up a little bit more on the front. The higher I go up now on this front, from about 30 upwards, will just give you understeer. So you tend to go up, gives you understeer, gives you a bit more bouncy suspension, and just makes it so you can push through the drifts a bit easier. On the rear, you tend to want to sit at 30 and start working your way down, and it will start giving your rear a bit more grip in the corners. Obviously, too much grip, the car will cancel its drift a lot earlier. If you go up in the PSI, your drifts will last longer, but then you've got the threat of spinning out the car a lot easier. If you spin out the car a lot, maybe drop this down, bada bing, bada boom. Now when it comes to track offset and stuff like that, that's more to do with the stance of the car, making it look cool. But obviously, if you've got your wheels, back wheels way out and your front wheels way in, you're creating like a pyramid in your steering, and that will create a lot of understeer. Vice versa, if you create the wheels so the front wheels are sticking out a lot and the wheels are in a lot, you'll create a lot of oversteer, I guess. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. It's just because it overpowers what the other wheels can do. Ideally, you want them quite flat to each other, but of course, when you're extreme with a lot of camber, you've got to think your wheel's not pointing straight down anymore, it's pointing to the side. So your wheel foot base, you know, where it's touching the curb, it's actually not in line anymore with the rear wheel, it's actually sitting a bit more further out. So consider that when it comes to your track offset. You can pull it in so it actually sits more in line with the rear wheels, or you can do what most people do and just line it up with the top of the wheel arch and just make it look cool. And that's what I try to do. But of course, when you're making it look cool, turn your steering wheel, make sure you're not clipping through the bodywork, because that just looks nasty and no one wants to see you're nasty. Right, so that is basically the drift tune, but don't stop there. You need to save it. Go to save, type your own name in here for the drift tune that you want, hit save, it will spin around the picture and that, take a little picture, and then you'll have that for next time. And then what I recommend, if you go to do some adjustments, make a second file of that saved one. Oh, sorry, hit my microphone again. So you've always got this one to revert back to, and then you can make your final adjustments and learn how to make your own drift tunes from there. Hope you enjoy that. Right, like I said before, little final stuff now to say goodbye. This map is available. I know you've not really seen it in the video, but I'll tell you what, we'll have a little skiddy waddy boo. There you go, this map is available. Follow the link in the description, you can have a little play yourself. There's also some videos on the channel if you want to pre-watch me either drifting or just doing a little preview of the map. Now this is a very CPU friendly. I was running a 1060 something or other GTX, so I was using a very low end graphic card and I was getting 60 frames per second. So if you've got a potato PC, at this point this map stands, it is a potato free PC. But I just got a new graphics card, so might go around making it look a bit more extra tasteful. We shall see. We shall see, because I like to fix the grass looks quite nasty, and some other things. Anyway, like the sky needs fixing. It looks okay, but I can do better. Anyway, you have a beautiful day. I've been the Manic Gaming Guy, and as always, you've been an amazing person. Keep it well, stay safe, and share that love. And let me know in the comments, by the way, how this recording's gone. Like, does my voice sound okay? Do I need to change my microphone settings? Does the picture look okay? And is there anything else I can do for you? Bye-bye!